5 players are already out of Washington, and Alex Eala has not even struck her first ball. Marta Kostyuk is gone. Jasmine Paolini is gone. Iva Jovic is gone. Katerina Siniakova is gone. Jacqueline Christian is gone. 3 of those players were expected to hold seeded positions. One of them ended the Wimbledon run of Alex Eala only weeks ago. At first, this looks like exactly the break Alex needed. 5 dangerous names have disappeared. 3 projected seeds have withdrawn. The original field is now less top-heavy. A difficult WTA 500 suddenly feels more open. But open does not mean easy. Alex is still not guaranteed a seated position. She is still expected to begin in the first round. She can still draw a dangerous opponent before she has time to understand the court, adjust to the heat, or settle into the American hardcourt season. Jessica Pegula is still there. Alina Svitolina is still there. Naomi Osaka is still there. Diana Schneider is still there. Madison Keys is still there. Leylah Fernandez is still there. Anna Kalinskaya is still there. Emma Navarro is still there. And every player who withdrew has been replaced. So Washington did not create 5 empty spaces. It created 5 new variables. That is what makes this tournament so unpredictable. A tennis draw is not a simple list of names. Remove one player, and another player enters. Remove a projected seed, and the seeded order changes. Players below that position move upward. Possible matchups shift before the draw is even released. For Alex, that creates hope. It also creates pressure. She arrives after the biggest stretch of her career. The tennis world is watching more closely. Filipino fans are expecting another breakthrough. Opponents are no longer surprised by her speed, her early ball striking, her left-handed patterns, or her willingness to attack under pressure. Now she must prove that Wimbledon was not one brilliant run. She must prove that her game can travel from grass to hard courts. She must prove that she can win when people are no longer asking whether she belongs. They are asking how far she can go. And she must handle another major storyline at the same time. Venus Williams. Alex will play doubles beside one of the most famous players in tennis history. That creates a tension before either woman walks onto the court. It creates excitement, it creates emotion. It also creates more matches, more preparation, and more decisions about recovery. The withdrawals changed Washington before the draw was complete. But they did not hand Alex a quarterfinal. They did not hand her a semifinal. They did not hand her a trophy. They only changed the map. The question is whether that new map contains a path Alex can actually use. Because before anyone calls this a lucky break, we need to understand what the withdrawals really changed. Washington is not just another stop on the schedule. It is the first major test of what comes after a breakthrough. At Wimbledon, Alex arrived with momentum and freedom. She was chasing history, but she was not carrying the full weight of expectation. She defeated opponents who were expected to go deeper. She reached the second week. She forced the tennis world to stop treating her like a distant prospect. Now the situation is different. She is no longer arriving quietly. Fans know her name. Opponents have studied her patterns. Coaches have watched the footage. They know she likes to take the ball early. They know how quickly she can redirect pace. They know the angles she can create when she steps inside the baseline. They know she can remain aggressive when the match becomes tense. Washington is where surprise begins to disappear. It is also where opportunity becomes real. The tournament uses a 28-player singles draw. That detail matters. The 4 highest seeds receive a first-round bye. They begin one step closer to the quarterfinals. They receive extra recovery time. They avoid the danger of an opening match. Everyone else must begin earlier. For an unseeded player, the first round can become the most dangerous part of the week. Alex could face another unseeded player. She could face a qualifier. She could face one of the alternates who entered after a withdrawal. She could also face one of the lower-seeded players who must begin in the first round. That is why the 5 withdrawals create excitement without creating certainty. Marta Kostyuk was expected to be the 3rd seed. Jasmine Paolini was expected to be the 5th seed. Iva Jovic was expected to be the 6th seed. Those are meaningful changes. But the seeded positions do not disappear. Other players move upward. New players receive protection. The order of the top 8 changes. Possible second-round matchups change. The 4 first-round byes may be reassigned, so the field becomes different, not empty. Paulini matters most to the emotional side of this story because she ended the Wimbledon run of Alex. That loss did not erase what Alex achieved. It showed how narrow the difference can become when a deep tournament reaches its hardest stage. Now Paulini will not be standing in Washington. Neither will Kostyuk. Neither will Jovic. For supporters of Alex, that sounds like a clear opening. But the tournament does not leave those spaces vacant. Elisabetta Coccaretto entered for Kostyuk. Katie Boulter entered for Paulini. Magdalena Frech entered for Jovic. Magdalnit entered for Siniakova. Sarah Bijlek entered for Christian. 5 players left. 5 players arrived. The challenge changed shape. It did not disappear. None of the replacements should be treated as a free victory. Boulter brings power. Frech can absorb pace and extend rallies. Linette has years of experience against elite competition. Cocchiaretto competes with intensity. Bezlek arrives with the freedom of a player who was not originally guaranteed this opportunity. That freedom matters. A replacement often carries less pressure and more incentive to attack. She can take risks and treat Alex as the player expected to win. So which opponent would Alex rather face? A famous seed carrying pressure? Or a replacement player competing with complete freedom? There is no simple answer. Then comes the most important layer. As things stand, the 4 highest projected seeds should receive first-round byes. That means Alex would not be expected to face those top 4 players in her opening match. The immediate danger is more likely to come from one of the lower seeds, another unseeded player, a qualifier, or an alternate. Imagine the best possible path. Alex begins against a qualifier or a replacement player. She gets time to understand the court speed. She settles into the heat. She adjusts her movement from grass to hard court. She finds rhythm on the return. She learns how the ball reacts during the evening. She wins before facing a protected opponent. That first victory could calm everything. The pressure, the noise, the questions about Wimbledon. Now imagine the opposite. Alex draws one of the dangerous lower seeds immediately. The first service game becomes a test. The first loose return becomes expensive. Before she can build rhythm, she is fighting to stay in the tournament. 5 players may have withdrawn, but none of that matters if Alex lands beside one of the strongest names who still must begin in the first round. So, is Washington truly open?
Yes.
Is it easy?
No.
Pegula can control hard-court rallies and punish weak positioning. Svitolina can turn defense into attack and force opponents into long physical exchanges. Osaka can remove time with one clean strike. Keys can make a match feel impossible when her first shot begins landing. Schneider brings left-handed pressure of her own. Kolinskaya can redirect pace and change direction without warning. Fernandez is the defending champion and proof that Washington rewards fearless players. Navarro can absorb pressure and make opponents earn every game. These are not background names. They are players capable of ending the run of an opponent in less than 2 hours. That creates a difficult mental problem for Alex. She must believe the field has opened, but she cannot behave as if the field is weak. She must recognize the opportunity, but she cannot become distracted by it. She must enter with confidence, but she cannot carry the expectation that a deep run is guaranteed. The moment a player begins calculating the quarterfinal before surviving the first round, the tournament becomes dangerous. That is where Washington may test Alex more than Wimbledon did. At Wimbledon, she proved she could play with courage when established opponents carried the larger expectations. In Washington, she may carry those expectations herself. Fans will see 5 withdrawals and imagine a path. They will see 3 projected seeds gone and imagine a quarterfinal. They will see Venus beside Alex and imagine another unforgettable week. But Alex cannot allow those expectations to play the match before she does. She must focus on the first serve, the first return, the first difficult game, the first moment when the court feels unfamiliar. That surface change is not a small detail. Grass rewards quick reactions, low movement, and aggressive first-strike tennis. Hard courts ask different questions. The ball sits higher. Rallies can become longer. Defensive movement matters more. Players have more time to attack patterns that grass can sometimes hide. Alex must adjust her feet, timing, and shot selection quickly. She must decide when to attack and when to build the point. She must trust her speed without rushing. She must remain aggressive without forcing the final shot too early. That transition may decide more than the withdrawal list. A favorable draw can help. It cannot complete the adjustment for her. The same is true of her doubles partnership with Venus. The opportunity is enormous. Alex can compete beside a champion who understands pressure at a level few athletes ever experience. She can watch how Venus reads the court. She can learn how Venus manages important points. She can feel how a great champion controls emotion when the crowd becomes loud. She can improve her reactions at the net and her awareness of space. But doubles adds another responsibility. More time on court. More preparation. More attention. More emotional energy. Does not guarantee fatigue. It means the week must be managed carefully. A long singles match may be followed by doubles. A late doubles finish may reduce recovery time. Media requests may increase because the partnership will attract attention everywhere. Alex cannot treat doubles as a distraction. She cannot treat singles as the only thing that matters. She must balance both without allowing either one to weaken the other. That challenge could also help her. Doubles can sharpen reactions. It can improve confidence at the net. It can reduce the emotional weight of singles by giving Alex another reason to enjoy the week. Playing beside Venus can remind her that pressure does not need to become fear. It can become energy. Washington could become the perfect bridge into the North American hard court season. A strong singles run could confirm that Wimbledon was not a breakthrough limited to grass. A good doubles performance could increase confidence and visibility. A deep week could send Alex toward the next events with momentum. But an early loss could create a different conversation. People would ask whether expectations rose too quickly. They would question whether Alex can repeat her best level on hard courts. They would wonder whether the attention became too heavy. Those questions would not erase Miami. They would not erase Wimbledon. Development does not move in a straight line, but Washington matters because the opportunity is visible before the tournament begins. That can be more difficult than creating a surprise. When nobody expects a breakthrough, a player can compete freely. When everyone sees an opening, every mistake feels larger. That is why the withdrawals matter. Not because they guarantee victory. Because they create a moment Alex cannot ignore. The original field contained more highly ranked threats. The revised field is less top-heavy. 3 projected seeds are gone. The route is more unstable. And unstable tournaments reward players who adapt faster than everyone else. Alex has already shown that she can defeat an elite opponent in one match. Washington will ask whether she can build several victories together. That is the next step in her development. One upset creates attention. A sequence creates belief. A deep run changes the way the entire tour sees a player. So what does Alex actually need? She does not need Washington to become easy. She only needs it to become open. Those are not the same thing. An easy tournament would mean the strongest opponents disappear. The replacements arrive without confidence, and Alex receives a perfect draw. That is not what happened. The danger remains. But the structure around that danger has changed. Think of the draw like a maze. Every seed is placed in a protected position. The strongest players are separated, so they cannot meet immediately. An unseeded player enters without that protection. She does not know which difficult opponent may appear first. When 3 projected seeds withdraw, the maze does not disappear, but the walls move. A path that looked blocked can open. A dangerous opponent can move into another section. A player can receive protection that she did not have before. A replacement can create a matchup nobody expected. Alex does not need every wall to fall. She needs one usable path. That is the real opportunity. The headline focuses on 5 withdrawals. But the most important number may be 1. 1 position in the draw, 1 opening match, 1 chance to settle into the conditions, one victory that changes the feeling of the entire week. If Alex wins the first round, the pressure begins to change. The court feels familiar, the movement becomes more natural, the serve finds rhythm, the noise becomes quieter. Suddenly, the player who entered, without protection, becomes the opponent nobody wants to face. Washington has already shown how quickly that can happen. Leylah Fernandez entered the 2025 tournament without a seeded position. Her path was not easy. She defeated Jessica Pegula. She defeated Elena Rybakina. Then she defeated Anna Kalinskaya in the final. She did not win because every great player disappeared. She won because the tournament became open, and she played her best tennis during the exact week when the opportunity appeared. That is the model Alex can follow. Not the exact opponents. Not the exact results. The mentality. Fernandez did not wait for permission to become the strongest player of the week. She entered each match believing the draw belonged to whoever performed best that day. Alex needs the same belief. She cannot look at the remaining stars and hope someone else removes them. She cannot treat an alternate like a guaranteed victory. She cannot spend the first round thinking about the semi-final. She must attack the opportunity one match at a time. And this is where the withdrawals may help her mentally. Before they happened, Washington looked controlled by a clear group of protected players. Now the hierarchy feels less stable. 3 projected seeds are gone. 5 replacements have entered. The final route can change with one position. That uncertainty can create fear. It can also create freedom. Alex has played some of her best tennis when expectations belong to the other side of the net. At Miami, she did not need to convince herself that she was supposed to beat Iga Swiatek. She only needed to compete point by point until the impossible began to look real. At Wimbledon, she carried momentum into matches against established opponents and refused to act satisfied just to be there. Washington asks for the same courage in a different form. This time, people expect her to take advantage. That pressure can be heavier than facing a favorite. Beating a top player creates celebration. Losing to a top player can be explained. But losing after the field appears to open creates harder questions. Did Alex miss her chance? Did she feel the expectation? Did she look too far ahead? That is why the opportunity is emotional, not only mathematical. Alex must believe the opening is real, without becoming trapped by it. She must feel confident without becoming careless. She must respect the replacements without giving them control. She must see the remaining stars without treating them like unbeatable walls. Would you rather see Alex receive a manageable opening match and build confidence? Or would you rather see her face a lower seat immediately and create another major result? Share your choice below. A manageable path could help her adjust. A brutal path could strengthen her reputation. Both offer opportunity, both carry danger. That is the real meaning of the chaos. Washington has not become weak. It has become unstable, and instability rewards the player who adapts first. Alex does not control the withdrawals. She does not control the replacements. She does not control where the seeds are placed. She does not control the replacements. She does not control where the seeds are placed. She controls her preparation. She controls her focus. She controls whether pressure becomes fear or energy. The evidence from Washington is clear. A seated position is not required to win. But courage alone is not enough. Alex will need discipline. She will need recovery. She will need tactical patience. She will need to manage singles and doubles without losing focus. She will need to follow an emotional victory with another professional performance. That is how a breakthrough becomes a campaign. One big win creates attention. 3 or 4 wins create momentum. A deep run in Washington would show that Alex can perform when opportunity is visible before the tournament even begins. That is a different kind of pressure from Miami and Wimbledon. At Miami, the world was surprised. At Wimbledon, the world became convinced. In Washington, many fans will be waiting. The withdrawals made that expectation louder. People can see the opening, Alex can see it too. But seeing an opening can be dangerous. A player begins thinking about ranking points. She imagines the quarterfinal. She calculates which seed may appear later. Then the first opponent walks onto the court with nothing to lose. The entire opportunity can disappear in one afternoon. That is why Alex must treat Washington as if nothing has been given to her. Because nothing has, 3 projected seeds are gone. That is real. The field is less top-heavy. That is real. The replacements create different matchups. That is real. But the racket still has to produce the result. The feet still have to move. The serve still has to survive pressure. The mind still has to remain present when everyone else is already discussing the next round. So did 5 withdrawals open the door for Alex Eala? Yes. But the door opened in probability, not certainty. The draw can place her close to the path. Only her tennis can carry her through it. That is why Washington may reveal more about Alex than another upset ever could. At Wimbledon, she proved that she could create history when the pressure belonged to established players. In Washington, she may carry the expectation. Fans will see the changing field and imagine a quarterfinal or semifinal. They will see her partnership with Venus and expect another unforgettable week. Alex cannot allow those expectations to control her decisions. She controls the first serve. She controls the return position. She controls whether one lost game becomes panic or motivation. She controls whether opportunity becomes pressure or power. That is what separates a player who produces one breakthrough from a player who builds a career. One victory in Washington would help her settle into the American hard court season. 2 victories would create momentum. A quarterfinal or deeper run could transform this tournament into another major step forward. An early loss would not erase Miami or Wimbledon. But it would remind everyone that progress is never guaranteed. That is why the 5 withdrawals matter without deciding anything. They moved the walls. They opened possible routes. They removed 3 dangerous projected seeds from the field. But Alex still has to find the path. So who would you want Alex to face in her opening match? Would you choose a replacement player so she can build rhythm? Or would you choose a lower seed and hope for another statement victory? Share your answer below. And subscribe to follow the official draw and every step of the Washington journey of Alex Eala, because the real answer will not come from the withdrawal list. It will come when Alex walks onto the court. 5 players stepped away, the map changed, the door opened. Now Alex must show how far she is ready to go.